Hey there, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Violet Vixen. Tonight we are cooking onion and tomato tart, and you'll have to bear with me. I have just been cutting up onions and I have one sore eye, so they're really getting to me. So here's what we need. It serves 4, so come on in and I'll show you what we need. Okay, so oven on 200, we will need 2 oven trays, a frying pan and a stirring stick. And the other ingredients are 1/4 cup of olive oil. I get to start my new bottle. 1 kilo of brown onions, halved and thinly sliced. If you've got one, I recommend that you use a mandolin slicer. This is the base that the mandolin slicer slices everything into. 1 kilo of onions is a lot of onions, but obviously once we pop it in and caramelize it, it is going to wilt it down a lot. 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 2 sheets of frozen puff pastry, there's 2 there, 250 grams of cherry tomatoes, 1 cup of Kalamata olives, and 1/2 cup of small basil leaves. They're not super small, but thanks again to my beautiful basil plant on my windowsill. That's twice it's blessed me with some food, so I'll make sure I give it some water. Alright, so first up, we're going to caramelize the onions, so let's go over to the stovetop. Okay, so it's 1/4 cup of olive oil, which is coming out of my new bottle. Fortunately, I can get olive oil again now. And the way I tell this is obviously I need to buy it for my job at work. So when I can buy olive oil, I'm happy. Alright, I'm just going to let the rest of that drain over the spoon while I go and grab the onions. So, as I said, 1 kilo of onions is a lot. But if you've ever seen what caramelized onions look like when you're finished, it doesn't really look like much. Alright, so start it on a high heat, and then what we're going to do is we're going to back it off. Yeah. Alright, I'll just go grab the other ones. See, it already looks like a lot. If you've got a frying pan, get a bigger frying pan. That makes no sense, but it will once you see what this starts to look like. Oh, just be careful if you're using the mandolin slicer. There's a little attachment that you use so that you don't cut your fingers. Occasionally when I get a bit overexcited using it, because I'm not there chopping it, I tend to keep grating and not realise, and I end up with little bits of orange plastic. Alright, this is definitely a lot of onion. Alright, I might let that wilt down and then get those ones in. So this is going to take a while. So probably rather than use a frying pan, I suggest you use a big saucepan. I might actually just, yeah, I can. I'll get the big saucepan down. I'm just thinking, which is dangerous right now, but I'm thinking anyway. If I get the big saucepan down, they will all fit in there. I'm just thinking of the oil, but you know what? The oil's going to just transfer over anyway. There we go. I think that's going to be better for me. I feel better knowing that it's all going to fit in the one. because we are actually cooking these for 15 minutes, so I don't want to be cooking half of them and then have to come back, because that's just annoying. Alright, good, they're starting to sizzle. One more bit of plastic there. Alright, I think we're all onion now. There we go. Wow. I didn't weigh those. There was a funny story. Once again, texting when you're tired is not fun. I went to order 1 kilo of onions, and I was delivered one, and he said I only ordered one, and then when I checked back on my message I actually had, so he may have brought me extra onions, but I didn't measure them. But I'm just going to use them all anyway. Alright, so now that you can hear it starting to sizzle, turn it down to a medium heat. This would be about 2. And we are going to cook, stirring occasionally, for 15 minutes or until lightly golden. So I will see you in 15 minutes. Okay, I'm just going to give them another 5 minutes. I've turned them up to 3 because they're still firm and they haven't got that fully goldeny colour. Obviously, once you put the brown sugar in, they will. So another 5 minutes, a little bit hotter, and I'll be back and we'll put the sugar, the salt and the pepper in. Okay, so that's the 5 minutes up. That should do. Turn it off. Grab your 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Pop those in. And we're going to give it a good stir. Doesn't matter if you go a bit over with the brown sugar. It'll really help caramelize it. Once we give those a stir in, we'll grab the salt and pepper. And we actually need these to cool down. So we just want to make sure that we get all that sugar in. Alrighty. I'm going to go grab the salt and pepper. Should be able to finish 1 pepper off, I think. Now with salt and pepper, it's your own personal preference. If you like a lot, go for a lot. If you like a little, go for a little. I don't think I'm getting much out of that one. Oh, occasionally it decides to give me a bit of pepper. Oh, there's about 4 grains left in that one. That's better. Alright, salt I think I'm nearly out of. But I got a new one though. There we go. Alright, that one's dead. I'll crack open the new one. Unfortunately, it's becoming that sort of a thing where you buy them and then you throw them out. Works out cheaper than buying the ones that you have to fill up, even though those are a million times better. Alright, so we're just going to take this off the heat for about 5 minutes. Then that way that should start to cool. So we'll be back soon. Okay, so while that's cooling, we're going to get our pastry ready. So here's how we do it. Cut your pastry sheets in half. I'll do one and then I can do the other one. And then what you need to do is sandwich the 2 together. This one's a little bit frayed because of when I had to get it out of the freezer and then put it back in again when I defrosted the freezer. This is the downside to having a freezer that you've got to defrost. Alright, that doesn't want to come apart now because it's gone together funny. Okay, what you need to do, a 2 centimetre border around the outside. Now, unfortunately, because it's gone together munted. No, it hasn't. It only looks half munted. Okay, try and put... Obviously, try and cut them accurately. Alright. It's only because of the stupid border. Okay, so 2 centimetre border. It's a good idea to have a ruler in the kitchen that you can use, or a tape measure. Okay, there is your 2 centimetre border, but don't cut it right through. Okay, and then home deal up the top. To there. To there. To there. And to there. So it's basically going to puff up like a vol au vent type thing. Okay. So that's how it's going to look. Pop one per tray. Paper is annoying. The paper only needs to be as big as the sheet anyway, the sheet of puff. Okay, this one I'm going to try and do a little bit better. Well, who am I kidding? Unless you can fold perfectly or measure it, how do you know it's going to be perfect? Probably just fold it in half. There's a smarter idea. Look at that. I'm pretty close. I did pretty well. Alright. You've got to have half an eye for measuring. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with this one. With our 2 centimetres. There. Don't go right through with it. To there. Same thing again. Down to there. Cross to there. Cross to there. And then down. Alright. So you should have something that looks like that. We haven't gone right through, but what it will do is it will puff to the sides. That never wants to go back when I use it, when I'm finished with it. That'll puff to the sides and it will lift up. Rather than have a fight with this one, I'll just fold it now. Okay, so pop that one on there. Alright, let's get the onions. Now, I really can't understand why it tells you to cool it, because it's going in the oven anyway, so technically it's just going to get hot again. Unless it's got something to do with the fact that it's sitting on pastry. This is a shit ton of onions, I'm sorry. Sorry to swear, but It's exactly what it is, a shit ton of onions. Alright. I think I'm going to keep those onions aside for something else because there's no way I can put any more onions on that. I might freeze them. I'll think of something. Alright. Spread to the border. That's what I've done. Top with tomatoes, basil and olives. Now it doesn't say to cut the tomatoes, so therefore they're going to look like buttons. So feel free to snack on some extra tomatoes because I don't really think we need all of them. There we go. I cheated. I had a few earlier. Hey, they're a healthier snack than other stuff. Alright, then same with the olives. Shove them in. Try and stay in the border. I will find a use for the caramelized onions. Don't you worry. Alright. And then just the basil leaves. Just over the top. Now we're cooking these for 30 minutes. Swap the trays over after 15 minutes. The idea of putting basil on top of everything, it's a bit of a worry. Stay. We've gone outside the border. Just think of it as when you go to the shops or anywhere and you see people that can't park. That's what that reminds you of. Alright, so into the oven, 200 degrees for 30 minutes. Set your timer for 15 minutes and then swap the trays over. I'll be back when they're done. Okay, and there we have it. I just swapped them over and gave them an extra about 3 minutes just to really make sure that the pastry was cooked through. They look done. They smell good. So, thank you for watching. Onion and tomato tart. I really hope you've enjoyed this one. And I'll catch you on the next adventure.